Hi, beautiful people. Welcome back. If you're new, welcome, welcome. My name is Georgia. So, we are going to do a recap and a review of the second part of the interview that Carlos King did with Kenya Moore. If you remember where he left off, where they cut the last interview, where he straight up asked her, did you have a, situation with Phaedra's husband, Apollo? And they went into it, did you have an affair with Apollo? Of course, Kenya denied it. And she said that, the lie went as big as national TV, where we had Phaedra, Porsha, and I believe Apollo go on the Arsenio Hall show to double down and say that it was true. And it was not until Kenya kept on them, because every time she saw Phaedra, she would ask her for details. So the story was that she saw in California, she saw Apollo at an event and followed him back to his hotel where the do supposedly happened. So she wanted the name of the hotel. She wanted the event where it happened. She wanted the date. She wanted the time. And she kept going back to Phaedra, going back to Phaedra. She wouldn't let up because, this is ruining her reputation. So, of course, she had to double down. And she said it kept sticking because people just tend to believe it because it was juicy. So it wasn't until there was a filming, and I believe it was at Bar One, Peter's bar, that Carlos was able to get Apollo outside. And, he told him that, you need to have a conversation with Kenya about this. And it wasn't until they said it took half an hour to get Apollo to admit that he was lying. He was trying to give a blanket apology, but Kenya was like, no, you're going to tell me what you're apologizing for verbatim. You're going to be specific, and that's the only time I'm going to take the apology. So they said that it took half an hour for it to get the apology out of him, and they only played 5 minutes of it because production cut it down to that portion. And they felt that it needed to be a longer. Carlos agreed with her, felt that it needed to be a longer viewing for the audience because he was straight up lying. And then she said that, it's from that season where she never trusted Phaedra again. And as you could see, she tried to destroy me and Candy, which is what Kenya said. So she said Apollo denied it. He said it was a lie and he apologized. And that's, even then it still took time. I think even up to this day, people are still doubting that, it didn't happen. But we have to move on. So now they get on to talking about the cast of the show. No, not really. She said, okay, so they addressed Phaedra and Apollo. Now he addressed Portia. Kenya's like, I have love for Portia. And, people seem to think that, we have, I hate her, but she's like, I don't hate her. She said, even though she hit me on the show where she pulled my hair, she's like, I'm not the type of person to be fighting. So when that happened and people wanted to see more of it and I wouldn't give it to them, she said it made me feel, not safe because she said she was going out in public. We have the young ones who like to emulate what they see on the show and think they could come for her. And she actually did not feel safe, where she said she was somewhere in New York and some young girls were across the street saying what they were saying, making a meme and stuff like that. And she said that's when she realized that people are going to try to come for her. So because of that, for a long time, when she went to restaurants, she did not sit outside because she didn't think, she thought that, people would try to mimic what was going on. And like she said, now you see people walking by and just pulling off people wigs for pranks. And it's not funny. I mean, and she is right. It isn't funny. So she says she has love for Portia and she would love to see Portia back on the show. She's like, I don't have a problem, having an argument with people using my words, but don't put your hands on me. And that's where she left it with Portia. Carlos asked her, for this season, do you think that Drew and Sonia deserves a peach? She told him outright no. She's like, nowadays people are just being handed peaches, and back in the day you had to actually work for it, reach for it, show that you deserve to be a part of the show, which is something that Nene spoke about in her interview. So that people are just being handed peaches and they're coming in with the fake storyline. She feels that Marlo should not have a peach. And she said Marlo is a prime example of why you don't make a friend of a show, a main housewife. She's like, Marlo is coming in with all of these fake storylines and not addressing the real thing that's going on with her. She's like, what about why does she have a chairlift in her house? She said Marlo is a young woman. She don't need a chairlift in her townhouse. She said, is it for the old man that should be taken up to her bedroom? I'm like, oh my God. And believe it or not, somebody went on the internet and found the scene or the confessional where you have the chairlift in the background and put, I found it. So if I find that on the internet, I will put it up here so you guys can see the chairlift in the background. I'm telling you, the internet is something else. She said, why are we addressing Marlo's multiple felonies? Like, what did she go to jail for? Is she doing the same thing on the show that she went to jail for? Why aren't we showing what's really going on with her? She said she feels that Marlo is protected to the point where they're all wondering, she's the only one who's saying it out loud, who is Marlo blowing on production? I'm telling you, Kenny was saying some stuff coming out of her mouth. Oh my God. So Carlos asks you, are you bored? She said, hell yeah. She's like, all these people who have been handed peaches and then try to come for me and have a conversation or have beef with me, I am not going to give them the time of day because they are not genuine. I'm not here for it. I am not about to put up with it. I'm not just here to be handed a check. I want genuinity, she said. And he said because of that, he said he feels that Kenya is necessary for the show. She said she's 11 seasons in and he wants to know why is it that this girl Courtney keeps coming for her. And Kenya said Courtney needs to go with her paperclip jewelry line. Again, he asked her about Marlo and the peach. Like, Marlo does not deserve a peach. Marlo does not need to be there. Remember, Nene said that season Sweet 16 is coming up. So Carlos brings it over to Kenya now and said, who do you want on season 16 cast? She said, I honestly think that the cast of season 6, that's being in nostalgia, that would be great, but it won't happen. So he said, so the cast for season 6, in case you didn't know, is Porsha, Nene, Candy, Cynthia, Kenya, and Phaedra. So we all know that's not going to happen because of the beef that everybody have going on with, Phaedra, between Phaedra and Kenya and Candy. Then we have Cynthia and Nene not being friends anymore. So Porsha is the only one that might be able to get along with certain people with everybody on here because of all of the things that's going out. So she's like, if people come, she's like, don't revamp the show because you might open a can of worms. Don't bring a whole new cast. But she does admit that season 15 is quite boring. She said when they went to the trip in Portugal, she said she cussed everybody out. They didn't show that, of course, on the show. But she said she cussed everybody out because she told them that they are ruining the show. They have fake beef going on. They have fake storylines. They have manufactured drama. And because of that, they're ruining the show. So she feels that if they're going to bring people on, bring people who have authentic things going on in their life. She said that this girl, Courtney, is homeless. She said she's sleeping on somebody's couch. And she has a jewelry line that's made of paper clips. So I'm like, Lord have mercy. She feels that the show keeps dimming her light. We all know about Kenya Moore hair care. Remember when the chat came in when we had, I believe it was Marlo leaning. Was it Kenya? Kenya or Marlo? I think, yes, she went to Marlo's event and she came in with the marching band talking about Kenya Moore hair care. Kenya Moore. And we also have it when they went to the launch of her things and they were saying that it was water in the bottle. So she's telling us that she actually opened a salon, Kenya Moore Hair Care Salon. It was filmed and it wasn't shown on the show. So she feels that, This is the business side that she's showing everybody. So therefore, Bravo should actually show it, because it showed the inception of Kenya Moore Hair Care, where she says she started on the sofa. The idea came to her while she was at the reunion in season 5. We saw the inception of it. We saw the launch of the hair care line, and now we have the salon. So she's actually going through where she had the business plans and everything. I believe she built the salon from the ground up. So we had all of the architectural plans and stuff. And she's like, these are things that people want to see. The Bravo network might think it's boring because it's not, there's no drama, but this is things that people want to see and their fans are asking for it. However, they did not show her opening her salon, which would have been good for her business. And she says she wants to be $100 million company, similar to Mayel. You guys know Mayel hair care line. And she felt that the exposure of her getting the salon up and running would have helped with that. But she said that she feels that Bravo keeps dimming her light. He asked her, do you think you're going to be there much longer? She said she really don't know. She really don't know, but she just keeps showing up and giving us her authentic self. And that's all she can do. She's not with the fake storylines, because she's like, to carry on a lie and, you have to remember all that, which I agree with. It's easier to remember when you tell the truth, but when you lie, you have to keep remembering what did I lie about. And then, you have to make it so that you keep the lie going. So he asked her, are you dating? And she says yes, but she doesn't want to talk about it. She's like, who's the most famous person you've dated? Said there's a rumor out there that you dated Jay-Z. She's like, no, that never happened. We never went on a date. She said that she went on one date with Kanye West. That this is the story she told. She says he called her and he was at the studio and asked her to come. So she's like, all right, let me go. Go to the studio, and then he's like, oh, I have to go to my house to go get something. So she's like, all right, I'll go with you for the ride or whatever. Goes to the house, and she was saying how the furniture was so low that she might as well be sitting on the floor. So she says she's upstairs sitting on the sofa. She's sitting there, 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and he still hasn't come back because he's gone to check on whatever he needs to check on in the house. And she hears like a TV on, and so now she's walking through the house looking for him because she's wondering what's taking him so long. So she goes downstairs, I guess in the basement section of the house, and he's sitting there with pornography playing on the television, just sitting there watching it. And she was like, Carlos was like, was he playing with himself or whatever? He's like, no, he was just sitting there watching it. So she was like, you know what? I got to go. And she said she left. And she never went out with him again. She never called him again or anything. Because she said for her first time going out with somebody, of course, that is weird. Who does that? You don't take her out on a date. You call her to the studio at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then you go back to your house and put that on and think that it's going to be on and popping. So he asked her, did y'all get into it? He's like, hell no, I didn't get into it. She's like, I was out of there. So they had a good kiki moment regarding that. The next thing he asked her, I believe he asked her a question, and she said, you're going to have to wait for my memoir for that to happen. So she's like, she wrote a biopic of her life. Carlos says, can I produce it? And he said he wants Coco Jones to play Kenya and Kenya to play her mom. And the title of it is called Invisible. And then she asked, do you know why I'm named the Invisible? He's like, yes, because I know of what you've gone through with your mom. So she's like, yep, but she's ready to take it to production. Carlos wants to produce it, but Kenya is a producer as well, so more than likely she'll do it. She didn't answer him when he says that. And he gave her some more kind words, and that was the end of the interview. So she went into a little bit more that I didn't cover because I want you guys to go in and actually watch the second part of the interview. But it was a really interesting interview. Carlos has been doing some great interviews with these housewives. We're learning a lot that, we don't see, they don't speak about on their personal pages, or it's not brought forward on the show, but it's good to see that he's sitting down and talking to them. I'm curious to see who's next. He's gonna sit there across from Carlos and give us some details and some juiciness. But it was good to see. We see first we saw Nini, now we see Kenya. Let's see who is next. But yes, guys, that is my recap and my review of the interview with Carlos King and Kenya Moore part 2. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel for more reality TV review, gossip, news, entertainment news. And until next time, be sure to take care of yourselves and your families. Bye bye.